For sure. All right, let's move on. In the interest of time, congrats to Tatiana Suarez and for being on the marquee in the co-main event slot. Is a little bit of a rarity because it was so good, and also the main event for this UFC fight night. Once again, that went down at the Bridgestone Arena in Nashville, Tennessee, between Cory Sandhagen and Rob Font was an amazing main event on paper. Didn't quite live up to the hype of this kind of a matchup between these two caliber bantamweights. Omar, let me start with you. Cory Sandhagen defeated Rob Font in a unanimous decision, shutout on the cards. Not a single judge gave Rob Font a single round. So it was 50-45, all three judges for Sandhagen. What were your thoughts? It was not a Sandhagen performance that's really gonna make its way onto his highlight reel at the end of his career.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like everybody kind of can have those performances, especially when they're injured or if they get injured in there. You can remember Conor McGregor didn't have 100% when it came to beating the shit out of people when it came to the first Max Holloway fight that he had, right? He blew out his knee and he was on top of him for essentially 2 rounds. Things happen. People have to adjust. Cory would have been a dumbass to try to go out there and strike with a striker like Rob Font with an arm and a half. So he did what he had to do. It wasn't super exciting. Probably won't watch that fight again. But you can't deny the fact that Cory Sandhagen was dominant in that fight with one arm. And you also can't deny that Cory Sandhagen looked kind of like made it easy. There wasn't a ton of resistance when it came to Rob Font's game, especially when it came to the takedowns, the repeated takedowns, the top game that was just so heavy. And anytime Rob Font tried to get a little bit of momentum, a little bit of gas going on there, Cory Sandhagen was able to take him down and able to counter that stuff. And you know, like I said, it's not visually potentially very exciting, but that was a skillful fucking performance from Cory Sandhagen.
Mark, what did you think? Cory Sandhagen with a torn tricep, he believes at some point in the first round. I saw a quick video of his saying he doesn't even know when it happened, but he believes it was at some point in the first round. What was your take on his performance in light of the fact that he tore his tricep?
Yeah, I agree with all that, really. It certainly wasn't the most exciting fight ever, and I'm sure it's not what people were picturing when they thought of Cory and Font standing in there across from each other. But it was still an extremely technical and extremely dominant performance from Cory Sandhagen. He's showing that he has evolved into a complete martial artist and that he's now capable of taking the fight wherever his advantage is the most pronounced. And against Rob Font, it was on the ground. And, as you guys said, I understand he had this tricep injury in the first round, and maybe his strategy would have been different if not for that. But he was already going for takedowns right out of the gate in round 1. So it looked like it was going to be a large part of the strategy either way. And early, Font actually looked really sharp off his back. He had the guillotine attempt first. Then he had the Kimura to stand back up. So it was like, oh, shit, like Font brought the ground game here. But from there, it got easier for Cory. I think he just hit another single leg on the lead leg of Font just now. And it's not even like Font defended badly on the ground. He just couldn't stop it from getting there. On the ground, he did well off his back. Cory couldn't really get all that much done. He kind of won the fight simply off control. But when you control 90% of a fight, it's not really that hard to score. So well done for Cory. We will see how quickly he heals up here, and that will probably determine where he ends up slotting in next. But despite the little bit of hate he's catching online and stuff like that, it was a pretty damn solid win.
I'm sure he doesn't mind getting any of that hate because he's taken it all the way to the bank, and he maintains and improves his record. He now improves to 17-4 as a pro, and after losing those back-to-back fights against T.J. Dillashaw and Piotr Jan, he now is on another win streak, now having 3 in a row over Yadong Song, Chito Vera, and now Rob Font. So adding big names at bantamweight to his record. Rob Font is no slouch, and with a torn tricep, he did kind of make it look easy with the mixed martial arts. That being said, Mark, let me stay with you here. What's next for the Sandman?
I feel like I'm saying the same exact thing here as I just said with Suarez, but I'm not sure, honestly. We have Aljo and O'Malley coming up really soon. you have Merab waiting in the wings if Aljo happens to lose this fight, or if Aljo wins and then decides he's going up to 145. If there's any scenario where, it's who gets a title shot against O'Malley, it's probably going to be Merab. He's the one that deserves it. You have Cejudo talking nonstop. I think it's another one of these where you got to wait and see. You got to see who wins that title fight. If Aljo's still in the division, see how quick Cory recovers, and then figure it out from there. So, unfortunately, it's another one where I'm not going to give you a booking. But I will say it's not out of the realm of possibility that his next fight is for a title. We will just have to see.
Omar, what do you think?
So I do think that this is probably going to be Sterling's last fight at 135. So I do think he's going up to 145 after this win or lose. If Sean O'Malley wins, I think he gets Merab after that, and I think what would make sense for that point for Cory at that point would be Henry Cejudo. Both of them are injured at this point. Both of them probably have to take some time to recover and rehab and all this other stuff. I feel like the timelines will probably match up a lot better anyway. In the event that O'Malley loses that fight, depending again on the timeline, I could also see Cory Sandhagen versus Merab for the championship.
If it's a vacant belt, that's what it should be. It should not be Cejudo and Merab for the championship, with Cejudo coming off a loss. I would much rather have it be Cory and Merab.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's talk about Rob Font real quick. After TKOing Adrian Yanez, he is unfortunately back in the loss column, and he unfortunately has lost 3 of his last 4. He's losing against the greats, which is the good thing. He's lost to Aldo, Cheeto, and now Cory. Omar, what do you think is next for Rob Font at 135 pounds? Who could he possibly be matched up with next to bantamweight?
Yeah, man, it's a rough one because he's also in a position where he's got a really nice spot, but he's, again, he's losing more than he's winning currently. So I also think he needs to kind of secure his spot with a win here, and I think he gives somebody kind of an opportunity. Umar Nurmagomedov just pulled out of a fight, I believe, because of a shoulder injury. I would imagine at this point, Rob Font took a bit of damage in that fight, so I would imagine he probably should take a little bit of time off. Maybe those timelines line up and we get Font versus Nurmagomedov.
Wow. Mark?
Yeah, I like that. I thought about that myself, actually. I ended up going with a guy who we're going to talk about here in a little bit, in Kyler Phillips. Phillips is not ranked by the UFC, I guess because he was out for so long. Just for reference, I should have looked. He is number 13 for me. But this is a guy who should be undefeated in the UFC. His one loss should have been a draw to Paiva. And then he has wins over Raoni Barcelos now, which we're going to get to, and Song Yadong. So he has proven that he's at this level, that he is a ranked level fighter. I think he deserves a shot against someone who matters. And, Rob Font's been a little bit up and down, and I think it's not unfair to ask him to show that he can turn back one of these guys trying to break through here. So I will go Kyler Phillips.
That would be a great bit of matchmaking. Cool, man.